All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Lyons Filio, a communications coordinator at Wicked Queer, and I programmed our Up and Coming Filmmakers Showcase, which is who I'm here with today. I am rocking the Wicked Queer crewneck hoodie, and I have a phone case here available at shop.wickedqueer.org. My pronouns are they, them. And for folks who can't see me, I'm bald, white, bearded, and wearing black and gold spectacles. And I'd like to invite our filmmakers to introduce themselves. Sydney, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hey, I am Sydney Rose Walker, she, her. I am an actor and a director. My film is called Mom, Dad, and I have a buzz cut and a really cool red jacket that I love. Favorite jacket right here.
And Simon?
Hey, I'm Simon Maria Kugiena. I'm from Austria, and my pronouns are he, him, and I directed and co-wrote the short film Blue Noise. And I have curls and I have a turtleneck because I'm assuming from Germany where it's freakingly cold, and I'm very glad to be here.
And Daisy?
Yeah. Hey, my name is Daisy Friedman. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the writer and director of As You Are. I am a white woman and I have curly hair, short curly hair, and I am wearing a, not red, I was gonna say red, green button up. What? Green button up and a gold chain necklace. I'm really also excited to be here.
Thank you. Carlos and Carla?
Well, we are Carlos and Carla. I go by the pronouns she, her. I'm wearing sunglasses not because I want to look cool, because I just had eye surgery this afternoon. So here we are. and yeah, and I'm wearing like a green jacket too.
Well, my name is Carlos. My pronouns are he, him. And I've just had a basket this afternoon, and I'm feeling quite free right now because yeah.
And we're the directors of Light Leak, by the way.
Yeah.
We didn't say that.
Thank
That's
you.
important.
Thank you so much for being here despite your eye surgery. I hope that everything is going well.
Yeah.
Great. Cameron, do you want to go?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cameron. I'm she, her pronouns. I'm the director and writer of It Had to Be You, and I am wearing a gray shirt and I'm Black. I have braids. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
And Chris?
Hi guys, I'm Chris Lennox Olson, he, him. I wrote, directed, and edited Magic Trick, and for some reason I can't get my camera to work. But in the photo of me on the screen, which is basically what I look like every day, I'm a scruffy white dude with a beard and long curly hair, usually in denim and leather.
Thank you, Chris. I'd also just like to acknowledge that we had two filmmakers who couldn't make it today, Timmy Thompson and Keely Martin, whose films Up on the Roof and Miss Misery, respectively, will also be in this showcase. All right, so I'd like to, what excited me about your films was that often questioning, or in a couple of instances, celebrating identity were sort of central to the arc of the film. And I wondered if you might have learned anything about yourself, actually, either while making the film or through the act of sharing it with others. Anyone want to go first?
I mean, should we raise hands or should we talk?
You're welcome to talk, but I guess if we start getting rude and interrupty, we'll start to raise hands, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I identified as a lesbian before and then got a really strong crush and then was like questioning my sexuality during the short, which was really, really interesting because my short is about like a bisexual love triangle. And it's left me with a lot of questions, but in a really fun way. So I think that was my biggest inspiration.
Lovely.
Sydney's like shocked.
No, I love that. I just think that's incredible that like that discovery, like while you're doing it. I feel like with mine, it was like loosely based off of my like coming out story. And I feel like I realized like while I was making the film how silly that was, because I spent so much time like trying to figure out like how to come out. Like it had to be in like a pizzazz way. Like I had to like make a video, or I had to like have a cake, or I had to do something like it had to be like a production, when like really all I had to do was just like have the courage to say it out loud in front of people I loved. So I feel like I discovered how like silly that whole thought process was for me.
I have sort of a similar story to Cameron. I wrote the first draft of the script when I was 17, just for shits. To be completely frank, when I was bored in my room during COVID. And when I wrote it the first time, I was like, oh, isn't this such a silly little work of fiction? And my script is about an interabled queer couple who spend the night together for the first time. And I'm a multi-organ transplant recipient, and I have been for many, many, many years, but I always had a very strange, weird relationship with disability, sort of in the sense of like, I very much pushed away from that identity and that community for years and years and years. And writing the script, I was kind of like, oh, this is weird. This just came out of me. Isn't that silly? And I think making it, and through the incredible relationship I had with my two actors, the not romantic relationship, but just collaborative relationship, I got closer and closer to the film, to the shooting date. And through the shooting, I was like, oh, wow. Like, this is me. Like, I do identify as queer. I do identify as disabled. And like, it sounds dramatic and I've said it before, but I do feel like this shooting process and making it has like kind of changed my life, because I do feel so much more grounded in myself and my identity in making it. And I didn't even think it was a possibility, because I didn't even like know it was a thing, I think, before starting. And the sort of weird prophetic nature has been like wild, like so wild. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the process for us was kind of different, because he wrote the script a few years prior to us shooting it, and it's basically based off of his own experiences growing up as a gay kid in a small town, very conservative small town too, and conservative families and things like that. And I guess he could talk a little bit more about that, because that's his life. I just came in there and be like, hey, let's do this, let's shoot this, we should make this happen.
Yeah, like actually, like the short film didn't help me to identify myself, because I think I've been gay since I was born. Like I was so gay as a kid, and I suffered a lot about bullying, because of that, because of being gay. And actually, the process of shooting just took me to some weird, dark places, because we shot the film in the school where I was bullied, because yeah, that's me.
We were both bullied there.
We were both bullied there, so it was just a bit of drama, but it actually like it helped me like to heal and like to reconnect with the Carlos preteen gay, like who always had a camera and always wanted to create and film, because the world wasn't enough for him, and he had to create fantasy. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can also go next. Well, for me, my short film Blue Noise is about identity and like the first time a young man in a very male dominant surrounding of with a lot of toxic masculinity like tries and follows a question he's afraid to go or like to try. And for me, it was a movie I think I made for my 17-year-old self, like something I wish that I would have seen, like, and a small encouragement and something which is like not in a box like for 100%. It's more of a feeling of it's okay to try, and it's so crazy exciting, this feeling that it although it remains like, or like you're getting pressured by a surrounding, it's yourself who is active, who can have the courage, and who is not losing people because he is himself, or he may be like the people finally see the whole person behind it. And for me it was a short film I did in film school, and for me it was a huge um step into saying, okay, I identify with this and I identify with the person in this movie. And through being true to the emotions to make a queer film, I also identify more as a queer person after a long time of like skipping the question and being not so certain and sure. And so it was an encouragement for me as well. Yeah.
I guess I'll go. I got my camera working. Hi, everyone. So I wrote Magic Trick during the lockdown here in Vancouver, and it was also spurred by a couple things. It was very inspired by a very close friend of mine, how she met her fiance. They just encountered one another in a really cute little coffee shop, and they described it as being like ridiculously magnetic, and I was like, oh, this is going to make a really cute little movie. And especially during the lockdown and COVID era and things, like I'm polyamorous, and just being, stuck in my little apartment and not being able to go out and meet beautiful strangers in the wild is horrific. So it was an absolute escape for me, to be honest, to write and then get to direct and make with such spectacular performers. It was just like absolutely reaffirming and wonderful.
Thank you. I mean, thank you all for being so vulnerable. I know I came in a little hot with that first question. But also Daisy, I just want to, I'm type 1 diabetic, so
Hey, I mean, not yay, but like, yay.
yay, invisible, as they say, disabilities, here we are. But also just thank you all so much for sharing that. And I love that we have so many COVID babies in these projects. I think we all really were craving that connectivity. But I mean, also in these stories, we have cafe stories, bedroom stories, workplace scenarios, home recording, Sydney. How did the setting inform your story, or perhaps even the process of making the film?
Yeah, so mine pretty much just takes place in her living room, which is also my living room, which is also my kitchen, which is her kitchen. So that this room, I'm actually in it right now, hey, is my safe place. And it's a place that I've actually grown, that actually my wife and I have grown a lot in throughout the pandemic. So it's become this like very safe, warm place of growth. And I feel like for the short, I was wanting her to be in that kind of place, to be able to feel not judged by anything or not feel uncomfortable. So that's why I put it in my own safe place and made it her safe place. It's just like, that's what our homes should be, or that's what we should strive for them to be. I think a place of no judgment and comfortability.
Well, maybe I can continue, because you talked about a safe place, and our short film Blue Noise takes place in a workshop for craftsmen in Germany, and it's a very male surrounding, because it's the stereotypical place for men, for young men, and it reminded me a lot about to my school, where there were also a lot of men, and I would try to fit in so much. And when I saw it, it just raised my curiosity in a way. And I talked a lot with my co-writer about it, and the setting, and it just raised so much interest. And it was so like different kind of social background as well. And it was very interesting to ask questions. How is it for young men in this particular surrounding, without maybe a lot of diverse friends or something like this, a lot of lack of influences in a way, like how to communicate. And for us, it was very cool to also work with non-professional actors from this surrounding, and to like have a real dialogue about, hey, what are your experiences? What are my experiences? It was so much of a connection and a dialogue. And I think we learned so much by exchanging. And yeah, through we found out that we have the same emotions with just different ways of dealing with them, you know. And yeah, that was really beautiful.
We're playing between being comfortable and not being comfortable where we were. Because I mean, we knew the places, we knew the school, we knew where we wanted to shoot and everything. But I think the first time we never really talked about it, but the first time we walked through the doors of the school with all the equipment and everything, we were a little bit like, okay, it's time to do this. And I guess it was really useful in a way to go back to those memories, because when we were shooting one particular scene where like it's like a PE class and they're all playing and the main character gets kind of put sideways, and you can see that he doesn't have many friends there. I guess that kind of was useful. And then the other setting, because basically it's just the school and then the house, the village, and the house and everything. It was his
my great grandparents' village.
Yeah.
So it's where I spent all summer since I was a kid. And it was like it was special to me to film there, because as a kid I was a really lonely kid, but that house helped me like to have like a little bit of comfort. It felt like home, but sometimes it also felt like so big, because I was so lonely, even though it's a really small village house. And I wanted to show that with the short film, and I wanted to show what it's like to be a lonely kid and what it's like to not have friends, to just have your camera and maybe one friend who you don't even know if he's your friend because of pity or because he really likes to be with you, or he really likes to spend time with you, or maybe he's in love with you. So yeah, that that was interesting.
I can go. I think my film, the main action, I think, takes place in the bedroom. It's in like one of the main characters' apartments, and then the park for a little bit, but most of it takes place in this apartment, and mostly the bedroom. And I think I in film, we've all seen a lot of scenes in the bedroom. We know how that goes, but I sort of wanted to take that and sort of invite other people in who have not necessarily been invited in. And in this instance, it's the disabled character, and also queer people. Like the queer scenes that I've seen in film aren't always light and aren't always intimate and aren't always two people just talking. And I sort of wanted to bring in, I don't know if it's a sense of normalcy, but sort of just a sense of I guess almost normalcy to just having two people sitting in a room, or sitting in a room in a bed talking for a fair amount of time and having it be okay that the main thing that happens is communication, and that's awesome. And also sort of showing that for disabled couples and queer couples, that is a proper and appropriate and okay course of action and thing to do, and to kind of just show people who never have necessarily seen someone that looks like them, or has their body in an intimate situation, what that looks like in a very sort of real, non-hyped up, very like simple kind of loving, tender way, in a way that like sort of similar, like we've been talking about, I didn't see when I was a kid and didn't know I needed to see until I helped orchestrate it. And I thought that was something that I hope if I can give to someone else, give to anybody else, I will feel satisfied.
I think this question is really hard for me to answer because in hindsight, I'm like, this was really hard. We shot in like one location and it was a cafe, and it was just like, I don't know how people shoot a whole movie in one location. And I think when we were editing, I was just like, I wish I had this, and I wish I had this, and I wish I had this. But we were kind of limited because of COVID, because it was snowing. And but then on the other hand, it was this really communal experience. The owner of the cafe let us use it because we were students, because we were like Black and women, and because they wanted to help. And it was just nice to be in there with everyone together. But I am just like, oh, it would have been nice to have more locations. But I also think like it would look weird in another one. So that's my like weird answer.
Magic Trick is also a cafe story. And I knew about this cafe. It's called Finch's on the outskirts of Chinatown in Vancouver. And I knew about it because I filmed there. I used to be a gaffer in the local industry here. And I quit doing that when everything was going into lockdown. Just like, it was just so ridiculously stressful working on a film set, like a big, huge film set with all the COVID protocols. And I quit, and I've always wanted to write and direct more than anything else. So it was like the kick in the ass. I needed to do the thing. But securing that location was very difficult because they're used to dealing with people with real budgets, and this was just completely out of pocket. So I was able to secure 10 hours at this cafe. So like it was a 7-page script, and I whittled it down to 5, and I still cut some stuff on the day because we were just running out of time. Just such a small, I'm really happy with how it turned out because it did make me prioritize and get rid of, unnecessary little things. But ultimately I really wanted to make a really tight little one scene meet cute. And have that just be like a really fun little contained story about these two characters based on friends of mine.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Cameron, your answer wasn't weird. That was actually sort of what I'd imagined we'd hear. Thank you all so much. So this is the Up and Coming program, and I wondered if you might want to share what you might be working on next, or what artists might be inspiring you at the moment, or even just where folks can find you on the internet.
Heck yeah. Okay. I am currently in post-production with my wife, sorry, that my wife and I made. We made a short together, and it's called I Think I'm a Lesbian. Which is why, Cameron, when you were talking about that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I feel that, but in different ways. And you can find me on Instagram at Sydney Rose Walker, where sometimes I post all the time and sometimes I don't, but that's where I am.
I'll just go. Yeah, I've been working on what's coming up next for me is I'm working on a feature film that picks up where this short film leaves off. The short is kind of my proof of concept for the world and the style and the sort of whimsical, almost magic realism of the romance between these two characters. Um, and the idea is to have it play into a whole bunch of really fun stories that friends of mine have told over and over again at dinners that we have and all this kind of stuff. And have a really fun little polyamorous love triangle film, which is something I haven't really seen in the poly and queer context blended together, because often those things go hand in hand. And as for where I can be found online, this is my first short film, so I don't really have any work anywhere for anyone to check out. But you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Chris About Town. And I just want to say I'm really excited to see all these shorts. And thanks for having me. It's lovely.
Well, as for us, we've been working on something for 4 years. It's taking us kind of long, but it is quite an ambitious project. It's like a musical movie that we've been trying to find time to write, which is not easy because you can see our work, especially his, because we work together, but he's usually the one that directs. We do a lot of music videos for local artists here in Spain. You can find me on Instagram at aka voices, and
Well, my Instagram is super weird.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's well, how to say that? Híbrido is like hybrid in Spanish, and then Abraxas, which is a demon from the TV show Charmed. Yeah, I'm that kind of freak. Sorry, not sorry, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've been working on that, like, which is actually called Neverland, and it kind of it also has like a queer main arc, but it's like it's not like the main thing of the movie. Like, it explores like all of our traumas. Like,
Yeah.
we decided to explore everything because we didn't go to therapy, so let's make a movie.
Who needs therapy when you can make movies, right?
Exactly.
I can go. First of all, Chris, this is my first short, so we're in this together. You're amazing. I'm so excited to see it. I'm so excited to see everyone's. But next up for me, I am trying to write an adaptation of a memoir called Such a Pretty Girl by Nadina Laspina. Highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It's also a story about a young disability rights activist that comes from Sicily to America in the 60s for polio, and sort of ends up becoming a part of the incredible disability rights movement of the 70s, 80s, and 90s in New York City, where I'm located. And I'm hoping to turn that into a limited series, and we will see what happens, but I'm incredibly excited for that. That'll be hopefully written by the end of the summer. We shall see. But you can find me on Instagram at daisyfriedman_. Yeah, I'm so pumped to see everyone's films.
Yeah, I can also go next. I'm working on a new short film for a film school, which will be my third film school short film. And it's about a dysfunctional dad-daughter relationship. The daughter is around 30 and he's like behaving like the child in the relationship, and it's about how it affects herself with her relationships and how she yeah, how she's acting regarding closeness and in relationships. And it's set in a very small town in Austria on the countryside, where you have like those traditional solstice fires, and it's a lot about community and images of gender and how people behave if they don't fit in. And so it's, yeah, I'm very curious about it. And yeah, I'm also working on a feature film, which is like a mix between this short and also Blue Noise, which will be shown at Wicked Queer. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram through @SimonKubiena and on my website as well. Yeah, and I'm also very excited to watch all the shorts and to stay in touch, hopefully. So cool.
I'm really impressed by everyone who's working on features. I'm in post-production technically for my next short, but I don't have money. So I'm waiting on that to actually start the process. I want to write another feature, but like my brain is not producing any content. But I have an idea. And mostly I'm just really excited to see everyone's films, and to kind of vibe for a little bit.
Thank you for that, Cameron, and thank you for vibing with us today. Thank you all for vibing. Carlos, thank you for bringing Charmed into the space. That really touched me.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good time to talk about Charm.
Always. And so the screening for first, the Up and Coming Filmmakers Showcase will be at 2:00 on Sunday at the Brattle Theater in Harvard Square. And then April 10th to 30th, the collection will be available on Eventive. Thank you all so much for being here. This was lovely, and just thank you so much. I'm so excited, and congratulations.